I've heard some
It
horrible
ain't like
stories.
they was look. It ain't like they was over there giving them
You know,
some of that oil money.
Islam is one thing. A person is another. Now, the, I, you know,
It,
I
a
taught a lot
prime
of
example of what I'm talking about is Elijah Muhammad taught Islam, but he didn't
and
teach Arab Islam.
said I will send a prophet to every nation. And I think that Elijah Muhammad was sent to us, okay, because we needed to have knowledge of self. We needed to be proud of ourselves because we have been through so much. We have been through so much. We needed somebody to tell us that we had power to control our mental state of mind and that we've
That's
been
not.
controlled as puppets. We
That's
needed
not.
no
That's
disrespect.
not even. That's not even bringing in the fact that the information, the way that he was teaching it, it was to be a catalyst for greater teaching in the future, and it wasn't supposed to be anything more than seeds.
I must agree. I must agree. But what I can say about myself, even studying under the Salafi, I've never left the nation. I've always studied with both. I just always have. I was always drawn to the nation, just drawn to it.
There's so
So
much.
even
There's
though
so much in there that we ain't unpacked yet.
whom I hear and love them to death, and they are my biological family. That's the imam and his wife. But I still could not pull from the nation. I could not pull myself from it, no matter how much they try to tell me, oh, the nation ain't really Muslims, or the nation is that and another. I would still be drawn to them. I couldn't help it.
But they always say the nation ain't really Muslims because they don't practice Arab versions of Islam.
But
We ain't supposed to. We're
there's
supposed to.
dialects, several different dialects. That I got some of my best teaching from the nation. It taught me to be proud of who I am.
Look,
So people might have their own uh, minds on what they thought, but I'm glad I had the teaching of both. And I ain't never been no Arab chaser. That's one thing I ain't never been. Mm-mm.
I have a question. I want to get back to the reclassification thing while Misha's pulling up the to share that piece. Um, can you talk about the role that the census played? You know, the United States Census. We know when it started in 1790, and there was only 2 classifications one year, and then over time, you know, the reasons why different classifications appeared. Can you speak to that?
well, you got to remember when the settlers came, everybody that came from Europe, no matter what they looked like, was white on paper. But everybody who was already here, they classified them as black. When the people that was here said, no, 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 I'm not black. I'm Native American. I'm an Indian, right? I'm what you people call Indians. And then they'd write it on the census, but the census takers would change it, right? So now a whole Native family then been reclassified as something they not because of the census takers. All this is recorded information that even have the in Library of Congress even have photographs of those census pages where they scribble out Indian, put a line through Indian and write black or Negro. Right over the years, this is what the census takers was doing. All that's part of their program to reclassify us.
Mm-hmm.
So they was in on it too. There is no part of what we call the United States government that wasn't implicit in the erasing of who we are and the reclassification us to who they want us to claim to be. All parts from the military to politics to the religions, they all was in on it. It wasn't ain't no clean hands in America when it comes to reclassifying us. Every one of them is a dirty hand. Every part of the government, your local government, city, because we know under the original culture, the mayor was the mother of the town. But they told us that a mayor is whoever sit in that seat. You can't just sit in that seat in our culture. That's the town mother's seat. And her and the mothers know what the children in the community need better than all of the men who supposed to be out fighting wars and building empires. And all of this was a part of reclassification. Your county government, your state government, the one that they call the governor, that's supposed to be the grand matriarch of the area, where all of the so-called mayors would come to, and they would discuss an issue that needed to be resolved on a bigger scale than the local matriarch was capable of dealing with. That's the longhouse. It's the longhouse in our community where the mothers sit around and solve the problems. And they bring in the smartest of the men as they advisors, but we can't tell them what to do. The last say go to Big Mama.
Let me say
the tribal mother.
I'm sorry. Let me say this too, Vi, was what I said the other night. If they knew we were Africans, why did we go through so many name changes before we got to African American? We went through Cherokee, which is a status. We went through Negro. We went through colored. We went through Black. And then we got to African American. Two separate types of people, African and American. So we run around here. We don't see the trick mind that they play with us. We run around and say, I'm African American. No, you either African or you American. And they did that on purpose. Another trick that they set up for you to now take yourself out of who you are. Now, I wanted to hear your thoughts on that, because that's really opened up a fiery subject, that reclassification. We don't even see people been.
And I want you to, after he does that, I want you to share my screen, Freedom.
I did too. That's why I just asked Nisha. So after you do that, I
got it up. I'm waiting on you.
Wait a minute, real quick, Dots. Someone asked me about the difference between Elijah Muhammad and did he teach us about Big Mama and this and other. Well, here's the difference between Arab Islam and the nation. Arab Islam teach the man that he's over top of the woman and to disrespect the woman, rather she's a child or rather a grown woman. Where Elijah Muhammad's teaching teaches you're no higher than your woman, that you are to protect the female entity. So see, it's two separate entities. So I would think that Elijah Muhammad was teaching more on a Big Mama schedule.
Claire Muhammad was the Big Mama of the day. In case y'all didn't know.
Claire Muhammad.
Look,
yes.
Look, Massafar Muhammad. It's an old thing they did in the Prince Hall lodges when they started whitewashing everything.
Real with it. I gotta be real. You know I love you, but I have to be real with that. I got to be real with it. Even though there's certain things in Islam that say something about your mother, we see how the women are treated in them Arab countries and over in Africa and different places. We see how the children are treated. So I'm going to skip that subject. I just wanted to make sure I answered that question. I'm going to let you go ahead on and take back the floor. Did you want me to play what we pulled, or did you want to answer that question?
It don't matter. It's up to you.
That if they knew that we were African, why they call us all those things before we got to African American?
Yeah, play what you, I guess, play it, because I want you to.
No, I didn't want to play too much of it. Okay. I just wanted y'all to hear that.
I just said the same thing the last time I was on here, that the Africans don't grow facial hair.
You did
naturally.
say that. You did. True Africans. Now keep in mind, some of us went over into Africa, was paid to go and start families over into Africa. Just saying. And I know wherever you are, if you're on the boardwalk, you at the farmers market, Cowtown, wherever you are, and you see them, you can tell the difference. You can almost pick them out. You know that they're African.
You know, the scientists don't even classify us. They call the stock that we from Negrito. And they call the stock that the African from's Negro. Distinctively two different people. And then they explain the characteristics of each. I'm just saying, we was already here.
And it's no disrespect, because as it states in the Quran, Allah made different tribes that we may come together and learn from each other. What's the problem? Why can't it just be that the Americans are different people?
Look, we are. But it's not just that, because, like I said before, as we went across the land, we had all skin complexions over here before we ever even heard of a name Columbus. We didn't have racism before white supremacy was thrust upon us.
And Dulcie put me down on that too. It wasn't just white supremacy, or it wasn't no white supremacy because of the label of white. No such thing as white people. But here's the thing, keep in mind, the Spaniards enslaved a lot of people as well. So it wasn't just white supremacy.
When I say white supremacy, everybody automatically think pale faces. Right. Some Negroes, Zenji wrote white supremacy, and it's called Protocols of Zion, and it's called Morals and Dogma, Albert Pike. They used to tell me, didn't nobody sit down and write white supremacy? Yes, they did. They just don't call it that openly. But the doctrine can be parallel, or you can use the society and go through the checklist of the elements of white supremacy as is written in the Protocols of Zion, and everything in there, what they said they was going to do. They say that's a mythological piece of work, but everything in there that they said they was going to do in the protocols is everything they doing to us in real life. We would be some damn fools to think otherwise when we can see it. It's written on the paper, and then they doing it in the society. The morals and dogma. They told you about the wars that they was going to start. They started them, fought them, and we still don't believe it. But we believe that somebody named Jesus with a stringy hair looking like a hippie gonna come surfing on a cloud like a surfboard with a Philharmonic orchestra behind him to rescue us from somebody that they call the devil, that's red with a pitchfork and a long tail. That's if they was reclassifying us or wrongfully classifying us or misidentifying us. The question is what their motive was. What was the aim and objective of saying that the people that was here is somebody that they got written in their definitions as being from somewhere else? It goes to birthright. And a lot of people don't understand that it's not about us just don't want to claim anything dealing with Africa. We love Africans and African culture. Their food is different from ours. A lot of our food is imported now. Most of the Southwestern cuisine is closer to what we ate. But as you move through different areas of the land, we ate according to the conditions of the weather patterns of the land and the particular food stocks available where we was at. So some people was vegan, but some people wasn't. Right now, vegans is a cult. Because if you ain't a vegan, then you got to be some horrid person. And then what you eat has nothing to do with the type of person you is. But you can't tell that to a vegan. And then they'll talk so bad about you, and half of them used to be carnivores and don't remember they went through a whole psychological conversion to stop eating meat. They didn't just wake up one morning and they didn't have a taste for it. They stopped eating it because somebody convinced them that that's what they want. It's the same with the classification. The classification created the cults of nationalities, citizenship. Those are all slave designations that we believe indicate some kind of freedom. Sovereign is the only people that got freedom. If you anything less than a sovereign, you don't have freedom. So you can take your nationality, you can take your citizenship, any other ships you want to get on, but you still somebody's slave. That's why these relationships ain't working, because both people think they own the other person. They slave owners. And I'd be doggone if my Negro get out of line before I correct them.
That's right.
This is what's wrong with the relationships. We functioning in the relationship from the slave master's mind. This is what Elijah Muhammad was telling us. Stop thinking like the slave master. Because he dictating everything that we doing by us following everything he told us to do. He gave us a blueprint to get out of the condition, but the problem is it just dug us deeper into the condition. That's the part nobody don't get. If you use his system to escape his system, he's trapping you deeper in his system like quicksand. You got to go back to the tribal structure if you want freedom.
That's right. And the reason why I also wanted to just share that, right, but share that source, whatever, is because, to Freedom's point, in a heartbeat, we will hear folks say, I don't care what Big Mama told you, right? It's what the source say, or it's what the books say, right? But we just showed you in black and white, right? That even with the United States Census and how they were identifying and misclassifying the American Indian, right, is based on a fallacy. It was based on lookership. But yet you have the audacity, you have the niggeracity, right? You have the niggeracity, right? To your point, slave master. So sorry, y'all, to use this word, but nigger, right? That's the mindset. How dare you?
Look, you preaching to the choir right now. I feel everything you just said. Because some of these, we be forgetting that some of these people were descendants of the same ones that told on us trying to get freedom. That's the part we keep forgetting. And you go back and you look up the biggest rebellions and how they was quelled by the enemy, they gonna always say somebody looked like us spoiled the rebellion. Prosser, even in the fictitious story in Nat Turner, every last one of the stories, even the only ones that died from the direct hand of a pale face is Martin Luther King and Medgar Evers. The rest of them, some Negroes did that. Didn't no pale faces kill Malcolm? Didn't no pale faces kill Clarence 13X? There wasn't no pale faces that ran up in Kareem Abdul-Jabbar's house and killed half his family while he was on the road playing basketball. We don't want to talk about that, though. We want to act like they ain't there. And that's why we can't get free, because we keep entertaining the reality that they gave us to make us look in the wrong direction for the source of the problem. It always goes to motive. What is they trying to do? What difference do it make what we classified on paper? What difference do it make in 2025, 2024? What difference did it make in 1860 when they started really getting down off into it? What was the purpose? They wasn't trying to feed these people, so they wasn't counting them for their purposes. Go back to Leviticus. Number the people, all the people of the land. So we need to know how many people we got to kill. It's right there in Leviticus. They're telling you why they even came up with a census. They need to know how many people to enlist in their military. Right? You going to fight a war that you ain't got nothing to do with the cause of. And they call it fighting for your country. America is not our country. America came and settled on top of our country. America came and interfered with the life of the people of the land when they came. They got people believing that when they got here, it was all woods and forests. And every now and then, some tribe pop up out of nowhere and say, who is you and where you from? It don't work like that. First of all, we had castles all over the place. They still here. They just makeshifted them in state buildings, mental institutions, and prisons, but we act like they just built them. We didn't need prisons before they came. Now all of a sudden we need prisons. Who need prisons?